welcome to HITC Sport. Right, let's take a look at every Premier League club and find each team's current player who had the most hopeless, wretched, ridiculously bad debut. Footballers always want to make a positive impact, maybe ingrain themselves in the team, not necessarily do anything flash to impress, but just allow themselves a chance to settle in. But with these other horror shows, just embarrassingly terrible showings that probably made their owners wonder why the hell they'd been signed in the first place. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Matt Ryan versus Aston Villa 2021. But yeah, Matt Ryan must currently feel like eating his own hand right now. Anything to distract himself from the fact that Australia's #1 is currently seeing his career being force-fed down a toilet bowl. Bitten by Brighton in January, he's currently on loan at Arsenal and made his debut in a 1-0 defeat at Villa Park. Most goalies, when making their debuts, probably mentally remind themselves to get through the first half an hour unscathed. No silly errors, keep a clean sheet for as long as possible. Now, this guy concedes a goal to Ollie Watkins after 75 seconds. He hung on to his clean sheet for about as long as an incontinent old man with a punctured bladder. Good Christ. Aston Villa, Jack Grealish versus Man City 2014. Yeah, when Jack Grealish made his Premier League debut in May 2014 for Aston Villa, the fans could be forgiven for assuming this wet blanket with the upper body strength of an egg sandwich was going to wind up in League 2. It was horrific. Villa were trailing Man City 2-0 at the Etihad. Paul Lambert then decides to spit this kid onto the pitch in place of Ryan Bertrand, maybe to inspire LASCELLES' comeback, right? Now, he was on the pitch for 2 minutes and saw his team concede 2 more goals to lose 4-0. Pretty awful. Brighton, Alan Webster versus Man City 2019. Yeah, here's another fella to be made to look like a soggy sausage roll at the Etihad. Here was £20 million Adam Webster, making his debut in a 3-man defence for Brighton. Kevin De Bruyne scores after just 2 minutes. The Seagulls lose 4-0 with Webster mostly resembling an alcoholic plumber who'd just been introduced to the sport 15 minutes before the game. Burnley, Bailey, PEACOCK, FARRELL versus Man City 2020. Okay, I promise not every one of these were against Man City, but it's true. That club have made a ruthless habit of utterly torturing every young boy's debut dreams. Poor old Bailey, PEACOCK, FARRELL, a 24-year-old Northern Ireland international deputing for Nick Pope in November for a daunting trip to the Etihad, and then concedes 5 with Riyad Mahrez slamming in a hat-trick. Honestly, you could have stuffed a paper bag in goal and it would have had the same effect. Chelsea, Antonio Rudiger, Burnley 2017. Yeah, going back a while here, but you don't get much worse than this. £30 million Antonio Rudiger wound up at Stamford Bridge in the summer of 2017 and took his place in a 3-man defence for a routine opening day clash with Burnley. Then Gary Cahill gets sent off after 14 minutes, leaving Rudiger stuck in a defence with mostly clownish circus acts like David Luiz and Andreas Christensen, who back then used to defend like a crippled goldfish. No wonder Rudiger almost had an on-pitch meltdown. Good Christ, Burnley were 3-0 up at half-time. The German probably spent the 15-minute break crying down the phone to his agent. Crystal Palace, ANDROS Townsend versus West Brom 2016. Yeah, this was underwhelming. Back in the summer of 2016, ANDROS Townsend was on the fringes of the England team. He just left Newcastle dumped in the Championship to get a London move back to Crystal Palace. This is a guy tipped as a wing wizard, a guy about to replace Sam Balassi and rip Sellers Park to shreds, right? Him and Wilfred Zaha were marketed as an unstoppable double act, and then he shows the end product of a half-empty shampoo bottle on his debut, losing 1-0 at home to lowly West Brom. Good Christ. Everton, Seamus Coleman versus Benfica 2009. Yeah, it seems weird that Everton's most dependable servant ever over the last decade actually had the most hideous debut at the club. Don't forget, this was just some former GAA lad signed from Sligo Rovers for £60,000, and so making his debut for Everton in their heaviest ever European loss, losing 5-0 at Benfica in the Europa League, with Seamus Coleman losing his man for the first goal. But to be fair, this was a fella used to playing against part-time milkmen out the back arse of Connacht. Here he was being forced to cope with Pablo Angel Di Maria, Ramirez and Javier Saviola. He'd have grown up watching Saviola on telly, so suddenly being told to close him down. No wonder he spent the game waddling about like a starstruck schoolboy. Anyway, after this horrific appearance, Everton fans would be forgiven for deducing that he was a shambolic one-footed joke of a footballer. So to play 342 games for the club after that, amazing feat. Fulham, Kenny Tete versus Leeds 2020. Yeah, pretty simple here. Kenny Tete did chip in with an assist from right back on his debut at Ellen Road this season, but I'm sorry, don't forget, this guy was contesting a Champions League semi-final with Leon last year. He came with a weight of expectation, and so being part of an offence which sent 4 goals to Leeds in September, yeah, Scott Parker must have looked at him as if he smelt a rotten fish. Leeds, Diego Llorente versus Chelsea 2020. Listen, Diego Llorente arrived for £20 million at Leeds this season with a massive reputation, a former Real Madrid centre-half who Liverpool have been sniffing around, and so being forced to wait until December to make his debut, it was an oddly torrid afternoon. Failing to cope with Olivier Giroud's presence up front for Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, he was run ragged, the team lost 3-1, but to be fair, he clearly hadn't shaken off his growing problems. Leicester, KELECHI, IHEANACHO versus Arsenal 2017. Okay, it's incredibly harsh to rate someone's debut when they only played 8 minutes of football, but I'm sorry, you don't get a much worse 8 minutes than this. Opening day of the 17-18 Premier League season, and let's not forget KELECHI IHEANACHO arrived from Man City for a massive price tag, but also a huge reputation. This guy was the original Gabriel Jesus at the Etihad, let's not forget, so being dumped on the bench for the Friday night trip to the Emirates, oh, he probably sat in his seat secretly wishing Craig Shakespeare would get hit by a bus. But to be fair, Jamie Vardy has stuck Leicester 3-2 up, and so IHEANACHO won the himself in the pitch on 82 minutes to just wind the clock down and preserve the lead with hold-up play up front, right? Well, then Aaron Ramsey scores within 13 seconds of him arriving on the pitch, and 2 minutes later, Olivier Giroud bangs in the winner. So, you don't get a much worse 8 minutes than that. Liverpool Ozil Kabak versus Leicester 2021. This is horrific. Poor old Ozil Kabak. This guy had been rooted to the foot of the Bundesliga with Schalke, hadn't kept a clean sheet in a year. The guy was used to losing every week. So suddenly being dragged into a ramshackle Liverpool team in January, being told to make his debut against a lively Jamie Vardy, sitting beside Jordan Henderson in defence, it must have felt like a junior pilot being told to operate a plane where their co-pilot is a drunken chimpanzee. To be fair, for the first hour it was a solid debut, but some Liverpool fans spoke too soon. The final 50 minutes were dreadful. Leicester scored 3 times in a 3-1 win. Kabak tried to give his goalie a piggyback for Vardy's goal and was utterly ruined by Harvey Barnes for the third. Just terrible. Man City John Stones versus Sunderland 2016. Okay, it's a bit weird to chuck in a poor debut when Man City won the damn game anyway, but let's go back to August 2016. Pep Guardiola's first ever Premier League match with £50 million John Stones sitting beside 3 fullbacks in a weird back four. They were playing Sunderland at home in a game noteworthy for the fact that Joe Hart was dumped in the stands, constantly looking on the verge of tears. Anyway, like Harry Maguire, because of the mammoth price tag, Stones was expected to be bulletproof. As centre half, not allowed to make any mistakes. So when he allowed Jermaine Defoe to turn him to bag an equaliser in 71 minutes, people were comparing him to a blind farmer. He's lucky Paddy McNair scored a late own goal to give City a late win, because otherwise the media would have been demanding he be drowned at sea. Man United Victor Lindelof versus Real Madrid 2017. Everyone's probably forgotten this game ever happened, but yeah, back in August 2017, new £30 million defensive recruit Victor Lindelof made his debut against Real Madrid in the UEFA Super Cup and was mostly bullied like a lost schoolboy. The Swede could not cope with the twin strike force of Karim Benzema and Gareth Bale, was utterly ran ragged. The guy's lucky Cristiano Ronaldo didn't start, or he'd probably been utterly chewed up like a steak and kidney pie. Newcastle JAMAAL LASCELLES versus Man City 2015. Yeah, pretty simple here. Poor old JAMAAL LASCELLES. October 2015. This is the game where Steve McLaren demonstrated just why he has the managerial ability of a squash pancake. Alexander Mitrovic actually put Newcastle 1-0 up at the Etihad before Sergio Aguero scored 5 times and the Magpies lose 6-1. And lads, considering City stopped scoring after the hour mark, this could honestly have been 9 or 10. Anyway, a young Lascelles made his second half debut, which must have felt like attending a birthday party where the house was already on fire. Sheffield United Aaron Ramsdale versus Wolves 2020. Here we go. Here's Aaron Ramsdale, a goalie who should probably seek medical therapy in the summer after 2 consecutive relegations, conceding over 100 Premier League goals in just 2 years. Honestly, the guy's brain is probably fried. He probably wakes up in the dead of night seeing goals fly past his head. Anyway, his long-awaited debut for his boyhood Sheffield United came on the opening day of the season at home to Wolves and conceded both goals inside the first 6 minutes. Utter nightmare. Southampton Che Adams versus Burnley 2019. To be fair, the first year of Che Adams' Southampton career was mostly a big, clumsy, fat nightmare, but his debut in August 2019, Burnley win 3-0 at Turf Moor. He barely sneezes in the direction of a goal, and this is a £20 million centre forward, let's not forget. That game was in August. It took the guy until next July to bag a goal, and even that was just a fluky halfway line shot. Bizarre. Tottenham Gareth Bale versus Man United 2007. Yeah, going all the way back to August 2007 for this one. Listen, this wasn't a nightmare debut, but it was pretty non-eventful for a Welsh wonder kid. Tottenham had fought Man United off to take him from Southampton in the summer, but his debut in front of the Sky cameras was just a limp 1-0 defeat at Man United. And stuck on the left wing, he couldn't get past West Brom once. And let's be honest, that guy's legs made of marshmallow. Imagine saying then that that pretty disappointing Welsh kid would go on to command a £90 million price tag, win 4 Champions League finals, and score over 100 goals for Real Madrid. You'd look at the person as if they had a nutsack stapled to their head. West Brom AINSLEY MAITLAND-NILES versus Tottenham 2021. For an Arsenal boy like AINSLEY MAITLAND-NILES, this will be an utterly nightmare debut. Arriving at West Brom midway through the season and being part of a team losing 2-0 at Tottenham, he'll have probably felt like getting sick in his mouth. West Ham Pablo Fornals versus Man City 2019. How about this for an utterly rotten debut? Poor old Pablo Fornals, dragged in the summer of 2019 to West Ham and tossed onto a football pitch for the second half against Man City on the opening day of the season, with the Hammers only 1 goal down. Fornals was supposed to come on and bang an equaliser, right? Maybe turn the game on its head. No, he was on the pitch to see City score 4 more times, win 5-0 in West Ham's soulless goldfish bowl of a stadium. For the West Ham owners, this was probably the most embarrassing moment at the club. Well, apart from one of those lumberjacks ran out to steal a corner flag. But honestly lads, Fornals, what a horrendous introduction into English football. Although to be fair, this was only last season, and look at the amount of players who've already been booted out of the team. Wolves Fabio Silva versus Man City 2020. This is a bit harsh, but for the supposed £40 million Ronaldo heir, Wolves fans were probably a bit underwhelmed by Fabio Silva's 12-minute debut cameo in a 3-1 home defeat to Man City in September. Honestly, he was being hailed as the next Ronaldo. He looks more like the next Alfie Potts Harmer. Anyway, that's the end of it, lads. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? What Premier League debuts were awful? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.